Hi guys, it's Laura from Adventures of the Groots. This video is going to be a little bit different. I am going to be just talking to you about more of a serious and rough topic for me to talk about. But it's really something that I want to get out there. So, as some of you may know, if you've been following my blog before I started the vlog, you will know that when I had my son, I did suffer from postpartum depression and postpartum OCD and anxiety. I had all three. Not a lot of people know that there is even such thing as postpartum OCD. And a lot of people actually don't even know that there is postpartum anxiety as well. Postpartum depression is something that is starting to get more out there, but I feel like a lot of people don't know actually how it is to live with postpartum depression. I then had my daughter Cassidy, and I definitely had the baby blues, and I had that under control and everything, and went and saw my doctor because I knew the signs from when I had the depression and anxiety with my son. I then had a lot of stuff go on in the summer after having Cassidy. There was just a lot of chaos, a lot of change, a lot going on in our life and our family. And not even, there was some bad things, but not even necessarily bad things. We had decided to list our house and everything. And it was just a lot of change. And when you have depression and anxiety, it's doesn't have to necessarily be something bad that happens. It can be just a lot of things going on. So when everything ended up happening after the summer, I had let my anxiety and my OCD get really out of control. And I just really wasn't focusing on myself. So I wasn't noticing that the signs and the triggers were getting a lot worse, and the anxiety was getting a lot more extreme when I would have my anxiety attacks. I just kept pushing it off because I felt like I just didn't have the time to deal with it. So, anyways, I am just giving you a little bit of a background of what happened. So, come October, I kind of hit my all-time low. Something happened that I still don't know if I'm ready to talk about it, but I really feel like it needs to be said because I know there's at least one other person in the world that is feeling the way I did back in October. And if I can help that one person, it will mean the world to me and will make posting this video worth it. So come October, I hit an all-time low and tried to commit suicide. I'm not going to get into the details. I'm not ready. A lot of people that are close to me actually don't even know about this situation that I was in. I just want everybody to know that knows me, that is watching this video, I'm fine. I have sought help. I have had support. It's not about support. I have so much support in the people around me. My husband, he's amazing and supports me anytime I need it. And he was supportive then. He just didn't know what I was going through. I wasn't talking about it enough. And my parents and just everybody, all my friends, my family, I have so many people around me that support me. And it doesn't matter how much support you have in that moment. With anxiety and depression, you feel like you have no one, even if you have the world with you. And that's how I felt back in October. So, anyways, I'm telling you this because I'm posting this video not to tell you my anxiety and depression stories, but because it's a little bit of a background as to what I'm going to get to. So, in October, after the incident happened, Robert and I had a long discussion about it after, and I obviously knew that I needed help. Like, this had gone way too far. And I went to my doctor, and I've been to a psychologist since then. I take medication as needed now. And I was diagnosed with postpartum anxiety and postpartum OCD. And I really want to emphasize the postpartum part of it, because everybody seems to just link it in with, oh, you have anxiety then. And yes, I have a form of anxiety and I have a form of OCD. But when you link that into the other areas of anxiety and OCD, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with other anxieties and OCDs or any other mental health diagnosis. There's nothing wrong. Like, if you are getting the help that you need, you're on the medication you need, you're golden. But the reason I want to emphasize on the postpartum part of it is because postpartum is temporary. So it can last up to 2 years after you have a kid. And yes, postpartum may go into just regular anxiety and OCD, but in this instance, with this story that I'm about to tell you, that is one thing that really stood out to me. So now I can kind of get to the point as to where I'm going with this. And back in October, my husband and I moved into a new house. We sold our house, our first home, and we bought a new house, a house of our dreams. It is definitely a house that we couldn't have imagined living in at this age. So people couldn't understand when I told them what I was going through back then, why I was going through it at that time. But it was a big change. I was letting go of our first home, our first house where we brought our kids home. So when we bought our house, we obviously applied for mortgage insurance and life insurance for our mortgage, because that's just a step of buying a house. You don't want to have a huge mortgage and no insurance for it, just in case something happens. So I'm not going to name the institution that we bank with for a mortgage, because they have nothing to do with what I am about to say, but they have been nothing but supportive. And I seriously have to thank that financial institution so much, because they have done nothing but help us through this situation that we got in. So I went along, applied for the mortgage insurance. Rob and I, of course, you have to go through two separate policies. So an application went in for Rob's, application went in for mine. And we had the impression that we were going to apply for this insurance because it was apparently supposed to be quicker. It was supposed to be quicker to get than the other type of insurance that we could go through. So we went through QMIS initially. And I want to start this video off with saying this video is not to defame QMIS. It's not to put a bad name on QMIS. It's not to do anything along those lines. But I really want to get this story out because, yes, this one thing happened with QMIS. But I know that QMIS is not the only company to have these stipulations that I just find so wrong. So we went on, applied for the insurance. there's a few complications that we had with the company just going through the application process. And meanwhile, we actually applied for life insurance with another company, but we proceeded with QMIS because it was supposed to be faster. And then we are going to keep our disability insurance with them regardless after the life insurance and everything went through. So when I went through the application process with QMIS, every life insurance company will go through a questionnaire with you, and they want to know the history of your health and blah, 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 blah. And that's great. That's fine. I have no problem talking about my history with mental health, with any of my other health issues, anything. So the questionnaire came and I was answering it driving home, and I knew I was going to have to tell them that I had anxiety. And that's not something that I hide. I talk about it openly. Wide open, I have anxiety, postpartum anxiety. I have no issue with it. I'm taking care of it now. Yes, I hit an all-time low, but I dealt with it at that point. And anyways, so in the questionnaire, the lady at QMIS asked me questions that I found so wrong. So they asked me, they got to the mental health part of it, and they asked me, do you have any mental health issues or whatever? And this was, keep in mind, this was only like maybe probably a month after that whole situation went down. So I had only just got diagnosed with postpartum anxiety and OCD, like officially, and was still going through the process of just healing after something like that happened. When you go through a scenario like that and get to that point, you feel so much guilt, and it's a lot of healing inside that you have to do after. And for it to be only a month after, it was really hard to talk about. Like I said in this video, at the start of this video, most of my family doesn't even know about this, and they're gonna find out in this video. So in the questionnaire, they proceeded to ask me, the details of what happened. When were you diagnosed with it? It started out. And I said, recently. When was the last time that you had an anxiety attack? And I was like, today. Obviously, I'm diagnosed with anxiety. It doesn't just go away. So the lady then proceeded to ask, oh, have you ever been suicidal? And that question alone was really hard to answer. And like I said, it's not easy for me to talk about even now. And this was back in October. It's now almost March. And being only a month after, to admit that you had been suicidal, like I said, it brings on so much guilt. Like I have a house, a husband, 2 children. Like I have the dream life, the life that I always wanted. And then that's what I get to. So this is what's going through my head when she's asking me. Obviously, I was, honest with her. I said, yes, I have been. When was the last time you were suicidal? And it was that incident was the last time. So I had said that. And she asked, well, have you ever tried? Have you ever gotten to the point of attempting suicide? So I had to tell her. And that I just felt so wrong doing. Like I hadn't even talked to my family about this. And then now I'm having to tell this random lady who just talks to a bunch of people about questionnaires over the phone. And so I was honest with her. I said yes. And then she proceeded to ask details. She wanted to know the story behind that incident. And I felt so uncomfortable. So I answered it, but I definitely was not comfortable doing so. And I saw no reason in her asking that. Like every insurance policy, I work in the legal field, every insurance policy I have ever seen for life insurance mentions a suicide clause where if you were ever successful at suicide, your life insurance would be void anyways. So why are you having to ask me these questions? Why am I having to tell you, who I've never talked to, who has no connection to me, something so personal and something that's not easy to talk about and could be a trigger? And I just felt so wrong. So that's how it started. A couple months goes by. Obviously I finished the questionnaire, answered all her questions. A couple months goes by and we still hadn't had a response for the insurance. Meanwhile, we had already set up a life insurance policy with another company. So my connection at the financial institution that we go through, she emailed me and she said, look for this email. You guys should have a document that you guys can sign electronically from QMIS, and we just want you to sign it right away so that we can get this in order, because she had been helping me communicate with QMIS to try and get life insurance set up. Because even though we had life insurance with another company, we wanted to keep disability with QMIS. So I went and looked at my email and I opened it up, and thank God I read the letter, because it said that I was denied. And Rob said that he was accepted. So I proceed to read on to the letter, and I'm like, and it point blank said in the letter, you are denied because of your experiences with anxiety. So it's the next day after I filmed the video, and it's kind of funny. So I never signed the letter for QMIS because I was like, forget it. I'm not signing anything for you. There's no reason for me to if I'm not going with life insurance with your company. So I received the hard copy of the letter. So here, I'll read you what it says. Under our current underwriting guidelines, we are unable to approve life insurance for you at this time. Our decision to decline this coverage is due to your medical history of anxiety. Point blank saying you are declined because of your anxiety. And I just felt so I didn't even know what to say, honestly. I was speechless. The fact that a company like that is a fairly known company around here had the audacity to send a letter to someone you already know. I had to tell you the story that you know was only a couple months ago, and you send me a letter point blank saying that I am denied because I have anxiety. And second, they didn't even have the proper diagnosis. I had said multiple times in the questionnaire, postpartum anxiety, postpartum OCD. And the girl kept talking over me and saying, oh, you have anxiety. No, I have postpartum anxiety. Postpartum. And she obviously didn't know what it was, that there was even a difference. So then I'm reading this letter, and it took a while to process, but I was like, this is just so wrong. So I was talking to my husband about it, and I'm like, could you imagine if I was at that point that I was back in October? Could you imagine if I was suicidal at that point of receiving that letter? What a trigger that one letter, the way they worded that letter, would have been. You could have cost someone their life by wording that letter wrong. Or you could have cost someone anything, because you're literally point blank saying that you have mental health issues and we're not going to support you. I want to say I am not defaming QMIS, okay? because I guarantee that this is an issue within that industry. The industry really needs to recognize the fact that, one, there's a difference between postpartum mental health and mental health. Neither are wrong, neither are an issue as long as you deal with it, but there is a difference. When it is postpartum, it is temporary. I don't have another referral to a psychologist. I have 2 years on my medication because it's postpartum. Temporary. They have full faith that I will be able to get through it and deal with it as long as I manage it properly. And for a company to point blank say that you're denied life insurance over something like that is just so wrong. You need to reevaluate, one, what you're denying people life insurance for, and two, how you handle it, especially when you're dealing with mental health issues. Because my question to my husband was, okay, what are they going to do when someone has bipolar or something? Are they going to deny them life insurance because of bipolar, or anybody that's being suicidal? Are they going to deny them life insurance because they've been suicidal in the past 3 years? Like, and then to put that in writing on a piece of paper, like, sorry, you've been denied life insurance because you have issues. That's basically the way that I took it. And I was not okay with that. And this is why I am making this video, is because I want it to be known that so many people after having a baby have postpartum or just the baby blues, like whether that be anxiety, OCD, postpartum, baby blues, anything along those lines. Like, so many people have postpartum mental health problems because your hormones after having a baby take a very long time to recover, and so does your body. And people aren't aware enough as to that, the fact that, one, there's not an issue with it. Two, if someone's getting dealt with, there shouldn't be a denial because of it. There should be, like, sure, put in a clause in the insurance saying that, you know, if you were ever successful with suicide, that your life insurance is void. And fair enough, like, you know, but I definitely don't think the way that it was handled is something that should be going on in this industry. Or let alone any industry. You need to deal with mental health very carefully, because you don't know when the person that is having those problems, you don't know what state they're in when they're receiving that letter. You have no idea. And for them, like, for me to, one, open up with someone that I didn't know about that situation I went through was not easy to begin with. And then to receive a letter saying you're denied because of that, it's like, what the heck? Because I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, is there something wrong with me? Am I like what's going on? Like I said, I was very speechless. And I really think that in the industry, and when you're dealing with mental health, you need to be a lot more careful. And working in like a life insurance office or something, your employees should be educated, and you should have proper procedures on how to deal with people with mental health or other issues. For a matter of fact, you're dealing with so many different people, so many different possible medical issues, that you need to take it gently. You need to be careful with the words that you use to people. You can't just send out a letter saying You're denied because you have anxiety. And yes, there are other companies that deal with it properly because we have life insurance already. But when a big company like that, like I know that Cumis probably isn't the only one in the world that would handle it that way. And that's what I find wrong is I would love to think that this one situation is the only time it's ever happened. But I almost guarantee that there's probably a worse situation because I don't have extreme postpartum anxiety. I have like subtle. I don't have to take medication every day. I have to take it when I need it. When I feel that I'm having a bad anxiety day. There are so many people in the world that take medication for anxiety every day. And I'm thankful I'm not one of those people. But what I'm really trying to get across with this video is that society and companies like these really need to understand mental health and the medical issues that they're dealing with. And they need to have the proper procedures on how to deal with things a little bit more lightly. And they really need to reevaluate how they manage dealing with people that may have mental health issues or do have mental health issues, because anything like that can be a trigger, like to point blank throw it back in someone's face. Especially like I've been working so hard on personal growth since that happened, and then to get that thrown back in your face when you finally feel like you've been doing good, it hurts. And I just don't want it to affect someone in a way more negative way than it affected me, because I took it as, okay, let's make this a learning experience. Let's make people aware. Let's change it. Let's not just sit back. Like I could sit back and I could be like, God, that company is brutal. And I'm not saying Cumis is brutal. I actually had an insurance policy with them for 5 years for our last house. And they were great. Cumis is a good company. And I am not saying that they aren't a good company. I'm just saying that they, along with everybody else in the industry, needs to reevaluate their procedures and how they deal with situations like this. Because, like I said, I just don't want it to have a really negative effect on someone. And I'm sure they don't either. That's not their intentions. But going through that, I can definitely see how it would. And that scares me because you never want to hear or see something like that happening. And I hope this video, if it gets anywhere, I don't know if it will get anywhere. I don't know how many people will watch it, but I really hope it makes a difference and that every insurance company really thinks about that and reevaluates their procedures when they're dealing with mental health. And I hope it makes a difference. So make sure you share this video with people that you know, because you never know who it can make a difference with. You never know what speaking out and telling your story will do or change for someone. And I really hope that it does help at least one person and that maybe it does make a change. But I do really think that I needed to take this jump and take the chance that it might change something. And that's all I can do from this situation. I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm not going to make it impact me in a negative way, but I want to turn it around into a positive thing and maybe make some change in the world. Maybe help someone. Because it was a bad experience with me, it doesn't mean it has to be a bad experience with someone else. So again, make sure you share. Make sure you hit that big thumbs up so that more people see it. And make sure you hit that subscribe button because I'd love to have you around. And I hope you have a good day. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm sorry this was a little bit of a downer video, but sometimes things like this need to be dealt with. I hope you have a good day.